Hey everybody, this is Jamie Durgan with 5S. We'll be starting in just a moment. We just got a couple folks that we're waiting on to join in, but we'll get started in just a few minutes. Thanks. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. Just wanted to say hello to everyone and thank you for joining us for our webinar today, where we're going to discuss Nutanix. Before we jump into Nutanix and why we developed the partnership with them, I wanted to do a quick introduction to 5S for those who are new to our webinars. So if you could go ahead, Mike. So who is 5S? We are a locally based organization, regional technology services company that's based out of Cary. We service customers all around the Triangle, Triad, all the way out to Charlotte, to the beach. I'll need to update the slide since we just recognized our third year in business last fall by saying we have well over 20 years of experience in technology, covering all verticals, including state and local government, manufacturing, technology development, medical, pharmaceutical, to just name a few. We are focused on customer service and delivering business value, ensuring our delivery of product and services enhances your customer experience while making it easier to manage. We have the best products on the market because we are highly selective of our vendors, and you'll see why in just a minute. We develop partnerships with organizations that value customer service and aligning solutions to real-world issues, like we do at 5S. And we do the right thing, always. We are an organization whose tenets are integrity, honest, and hard work. We value our relationships, and we'll sacrifice a dollar before we, would value would a valued customer, which is why, if you're not satisfied with our service, it's free. Move on to the next one, Mike. So, what do we do? We cover a number of different technologies, but our service principles cover different facets, and we've developed specific practices to enhance our partnerships and customer service capabilities. So this slide is a quick list of items that we cover, but mostly we are focused on virtualization and cloud enablement, including VDI and enterprise mobility, as well as backup as a service, strategic planning and aligning technology initiatives with business initiatives, integrated time reporting and ticketing through a help desk as a service offering, and many other support, management, and monitoring offerings. If you have any interest in any of our professional service offerings, please reach out to Josh Marler or Mike Shook, our sales reps that can give you more information about our offerings, including discounted cloud readiness assessments. Mike, you want to move over to the next one? So we have, we are very specific about our vendors, and enough about 5S, today let's talk about Nutanix. So, as I said before, we are highly selective of the vendors that we represent and are particularly proud of our new relationship with Nutanix. Besides being a great technology that is aligned with our customers' objectives like cloud enablement and ease of administration, they are ranked as one of the highest technology companies in customer satisfaction. That's obviously very important to us because we know it's important to you. We are joined today by Mike Pagonis. He's a senior systems engineer with Nutanix. Mike will be giving us an introduction to Nutanix as well as an overview to the versatility and improved efficiencies that not just hyperconverged delivers, but Nutanix specifically. So Mike.
Good morning, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you just fine. That's great.
Okay, good deal. So my name is Mike Pagonis. I'm one of the systems engineers in North Carolina. There are definitely a handful of us here, as well as our East Coast headquarters is based out of Durham. So the great thing is, not only am I out here in the field supporting our customers and great companies like 5S, but we also have it is our largest global support center is based in Durham as well. So you're right in the middle of where we live, and we're happy to be in the area. So Jamie, thanks for having me on. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get started, and I'll cover basically some really quick topics specifically about Nutanix. And this is a little different format. So normally I'm used to asking customers this, but ultimately what we are seeing in the market is, customers are being pushed by the business, by their executives, by somebody who read a magazine that says that you should be embracing cloud. And these are some of the key things that the cloud is bringing to us or to our customers and businesses. It's rapid time to market and fractional IT consumption. And the important part behind fractional IT consumption is that you're not buying all of this infrastructure up front. You're consuming more as you need it rather than buying it all up front. And some of the other key things that are very intrigue customers are continuous innovation. So you buy a new product set, or you're working with an AWS or Azure or Google, and they are implementing and bringing on new services on a fairly regular basis. And then probably last and the most important thing is that one-click simplicity. So you have the ability to deploy these new features at the click of a button. And from a Nutanix standpoint, these are the things that we use to drive what we do with our business, because at the end of the day, infrastructure, it can't go away. There are too many things around governance and things like that where customers need to have on-prem solutions but may still embrace things in the cloud. So why can't we build a solution or an enterprise cloud operating system that delivers these same features: continuous innovation, one-click simplicity, rapid time to market, and fractional IT consumption to you in your data center? So one of the things we like to say about ourselves is that we are delivering the AWS experience to you in your data center. Which leads us to one of our latest innovations called Calm. Calm for us is cloud automation lifecycle management, and it's given us the ability to further drive the simplicity of Nutanix with application lifecycle automation. So basically, if you guys have applications that you've either pushed on-prem or in the cloud, we can wrap our hands around it, manage it with Calm, and that gives you guys the ability to control the life cycle and the automation of doing software updates and things of that nature. The other thing that a lot of customers are starting to realize is the self-service and governance capabilities. So, there are certain regulations require separation of duties, but if you have a tool that's deploying those, application updates or things of that nature, you have the ability for self-service and governance of it, so you can track who's been doing these updates. And the last and the most important piece, I think, would be hybrid cloud management. We're trying to figure out as end users, how can I manage an on-prem solution as well as an off-prem solution, but do it at a pace that my business wants, rather than having to take a week or two to deploy VMs or applications. Now we can build them internally, test them out, and once we're good, we can now click a button and push them out to any one of our cloud service providers that we work with. The other key tenets for Nutanix are the automation and empowerment functionality. So Calm is giving us the ability to automate the deployment management applications and private and public clouds. I already talked about that a little bit. Centralized governance, meaning that not only are we wrapping our hands around that external tool set, but we're giving you the ability to do that from a centralized location that you would use on a day-to-day basis. You don't have to bolt on any additional tools to manage the environment, and we're empowering teams to be able to service everything from a one-click standpoint. Whether it's a development team that needs to deploy the same application stack over and over again for deployment purposes or development purposes, we give them the ability, or we enable you guys as infrastructure leaders and architects to basically give them access to deploy some of these things on their own, because you've set some guidelines around what they can do. And then last, you'll be able to gain visibility into what your public and private cloud spend is, which is good, because now you'll be able to give this data back to your business units and your end users, saying, okay, if you want to deploy this application stack on-prem, it's going to cost, I don't know, 25 cents a day. But if we choose to go into Azure or AWS, it might cost us, $2.50 a day. So you'll now have the analytics in your hands to be able to drive this value and show them where your money is going. And I think the important part of that is we want to become the trusted advisor to our business. So I know IT is typically viewed as a cost center, but I think we're trying to find ways to become more valuable. And that last piece is probably the one thing that helps us, show more value to the business that IT can bring. So sorry, I skipped ahead a slide pretty quick there. I guess one of the things that I'm asked on a regular basis, or I ask customers on a regular basis, is why can't the IT organizations be agile in today's business environment? And I think you guys can see these are, it's a pretty typical data center slide. At the very top, you have some blades. In the middle, you have some kind of storage switching. You have additional storage switching in the middle, or networking, and then we have at the bottom your centralized storage environment. That could be SAN, NAS, that could be anything else. But as we progress the slide, what you'll see is that it's all pretty much the same. So you can bolt on different server manufacturers. You can bolt on different storage appliances in the middle, and if you want to do asynchronous replication, some manufacturers have replication technology built in, some of them have external appliances, and then at the very bottom you can even swap out the different storage manufacturers. You can see EMC, Pure, NetApp, and ultimately this is why we can't be agile in today's environment, because it takes all these different administrative consoles to manage this infrastructure. It's not simple. If I want to go change my server setup, I have to go to a server management console. If I want to go change my a storage LUN or a pool or an NFS mount point, I have to log into the storage management console. If I want to do replication, there's yet another console to deal with. What we're trying to do at Nutanix, and what we've been able to deliver, is a single interface for what we call it consumer grade management. And when we say management, it's not just a management of the Nutanix infrastructure. It also gives us the ability to manage the virtualization components, whether it's ESXi, Hyper-V, our own hypervisor, Zen server. So we've built this console from a consumer grade standpoint that you can do everything from one place. One of our executives loves to pull out his iPhone and say, this is my iPhone. And what we want to do is we want to deliver a user interface that is as simple and easy to use in our infrastructure as my iPhone is. I can click a button, it automatically does its software update. And the difference is you have one iPhone, so if it does a software update, there's usually a reboot involved. But with Nutanix, the fact that we orchestrate these updates, whether they're hypervisor based or infrastructure based, we will move the workloads around so that it's a non-disruptive update for everybody. We've also bolted in the cloud management components as well. So you could literally manage everything from one console. The only thing that we can't manage in here would be like your third-party backup solution. So, and matter of fact, there are other manufacturers that are starting to develop their backup tools to snap into our management console, so that we can be that one true stop for you're the one source of the truth for everything in your environment. The other thing I think that's very critical to Nutanix is that we deliver on this one-click experience. Some of you on the call may have some experience with Nutanix already, but ultimately what we're after is giving you the ability to do infrastructure management, orchestration, grabbing all of your insights at the click of one button. In some cases, it might take 2 clicks or 3 clicks, but ultimately what we're doing as a company, we're constantly refining that process and trying to get it back to a single click. One of the things I want to point out is that Nutanix as a company, for every $1 we put into our solution, 50 cents of that goes to the development of the user interface, which is very different from what a lot of the other manufacturers do. We've actually hired some of the brightest user interface developers from Google, Apple, Facebook to help with this interface, because we want it to be simple. When there is something that takes 2 or 3 clicks, our support team and our development teams are constantly talking to figure out, okay, this took 2 or 3 clicks, what can we do to get it down to a single click? So it kind of shows the vision and constant forward thought of what can we do to continue to innovate and drive the pace of simplicity and adoption of new features inside of Nutanix. From a planning standpoint, we've integrated a lot of AI learning so that we can help with more future planning, capacity planning, just-in-time forecasting. So as IT people, we're not always given the opportunity to say, hey, we're acquiring a company and this is what we're going to be ingesting. But when we do have those situations, it's great to have a tool that you can plug in the data, and it's going to tell you and give you a PDF that says, all right, if I add these 15 VMs in, let's say in April, everything will fit fine, or I'm going to need to add some more compute because I'm going to run out of CPU if I add these resources in. That's the types of planning tools that we've added into the environment. And this kind of gets into a little bit more of what the actual Nutanix solution is. So Nutanix actually is the first 2 boxes on the left, Acropolis. Acropolis is our infrastructure platform. That is our software that creates that distributed storage fabric and ties everything together. It's the management interface. It's the virtualization administration components. It's everything that it takes to run an enterprise hybrid cloud. And then in the middle we have Prism. Prism is that consumer grade management interface that we've built that helps you manage everything. So it's the one source for the truth. And one of the newest things that we're developing and we will be releasing later on this year is called Xi Cloud Services. So we have a partnership with Google, and initially this was built on our own infrastructure and our own data centers, and we were going to provide cloud services to our customers, whether they were DR as a service, or I need to spin up a VM, but I don't want to do it on-prem, I want to do it off-prem because it might be a little bit cheaper. That's where Xi Cloud Services, the thought for Xi came from. And what we're doing is now we're going to start leveraging our Google relationship and using their data centers and their backhaul infrastructure so that we can move workloads around between the different data center availability zones and provide a much higher level of service to our customers. And like I said, this is a future service that we'll be offering, but ultimately you'll be able to manage all of this from within Prism and say, you know what, I want to protect these 10 VMs and I want them to go out to Xi, and you'll be able to test on a regular basis. But if there's ever an outage or any type of scenario like that, you'll log into Xi Cloud Services, spin up those VMs, and it will automatically plumb a a VPN network between Xi and your remote sites, so that way everybody's connected as if nothing ever happened. So this gets into a little bit more of the true of what we're used to seeing as an infrastructure, consumers in the past. So what we've done is we've taken, the networking at the bottom, the servers, the data protection, the storage in the middle, the virtualization stack, and the apps at the very top, and we have compressed that down into a 2U appliance. In some cases that might be 1U, but ultimately, 2U, we can deliver as many as 4 hosts in a 2U enclosure. We call them nodes, and that 2U enclosure basically looks like a rack mount server. We call that a block. So kind of similar to a blade infrastructure, but what we do is we rely on that upstream networking to tie all the nodes together, so it's a shared nothing infrastructure. And as far as this is kind of like a blown up view of how Nutanix looks. You can see the 3 servers in there. It could be as many as, actually I don't think we don't have a theoretical limit actually. We typically run out of network ports, or virtualization has a limit before we do, but ultimately let's say that we could have a 64 node cluster, and have 64 hosts in there, all serving up storage and virtualization, and in some cases just storage alone to the cluster. But ultimately you can see across the top of the hypervisor you have the VMs. Each one of our hosts has a CVM, which would be the same thing as a NetApp filer or an EMC storage controller, or pick the storage vendors. Basically it's the storage controller. The great thing is that as we scale, we add additional storage controllers. So that helps out with things like, when there is a drive failure or a node failure, the rebuild time is actually shrunk based off of the number of nodes. So if we scale out to 10 nodes, the rebuild time on a failed drive is a lot less than it would if I only had a 3-node cluster, because each one of these CVMs participate. We connect up to a 40 or 10 gig or 40 gig or 100 gig top of rack switch. If it's a robo site, we can utilize the 1 gig ports, but our cluster size is a little limited there just because we don't have enough bandwidth to distribute the data accordingly. From a distributed storage fabric standpoint, it is enterprise grade storage. We provide compression, deduplication, thin provisioning, all the things that you would expect out of a new storage array in today's time. We have all those features natively integrated into us. We have native virtualization built in. So if for some reason VMware is not a choice, or maybe Hyper-V is not a choice, we could utilize our own hypervisor. It is a KVM derivative that we have wrapped an enterprise development cycle around, and we also provide enterprise grade support. And we are fully supported by Citrix and other vendors in the space because of how robust this hypervisor is. Networking and security are all a part of our designs, and data protection and DR. Those are also built in. So replication, VM data protection, things like that are native in Nutanix. And one thing that I probably should point out is that on top of a couple of these hypervisors, you see a C, as in C as in Charlie. That is, those are actually container services. We have native container services built into Nutanix, so that if you want to, take advantage of things like, Docker, or utilize Kubernetes for things like, rapid development and just building containers to support a larger application infrastructure, those natively will reside on Nutanix. So we don't have to deploy anything new to support containers as your development efforts change. All right, so this slide is it's not a really, actually it is an important slide because it kind of shows that we're not a brand new company. A lot of customers still think of us as a brand new company, but in reality, our product launched in 2011. We're into 2018, so this slide needs to be updated. But you can see that roughly 2 times a year, we have major release cycles that have come out. And a lot of these release cycles have included 20 to 30% performance improvements, additional feature enhancements. And these are all without adding new hardware. This is all supporting the existing infrastructure you've already purchased. and this will be close to one of the last slides that we have, but ultimately, we have a security first design. Security is a very, very important component for us. We have a lot of government business. Some of them are three-letter acronyms. Some of them are warfighting agencies. But ultimately, we've put this in place very early on. And the great thing is that, from a security lifecycle standpoint, if somebody logs into the environment, makes a change that compromises the security, we will self-heal and we will send alerts out saying that, so-and-so user has modified security and the system has been corrected. So, we've integrated this in because security is an important part. So we are fully hardened from day one when we ship out, and we meet, NIST standards, DISA, Suite B, FIPS 140-2. So all the other nice acronyms that you would love to hear about from a security standpoint, we meet all those, and we're continually, testing and validating every time we do a software release. So security is a big thing for us. And this should be one of the last slides, and this just shows, from an application standpoint, what applications can you expect to run on Nutanix. And you can see there is a large laundry list of application sets. Traditional file services. We have the ability to support, deploy file services out of Nutanix with a clustered scale out NAS built to match our scale. Bare metal applications, we can present bare metal iSCSI LUNs to Oracle environments. I actually have some customers that run Oracle and SAP. The SAP application VMs ride on top of Nutanix like they always do, but they're Oracle database servers because of core licensing requirements and negotiated things with Oracle. We have to utilize their existing infrastructure, and we can present iSCSI LUNs directly to those hosts, and then we automatically manage the multipathing components. So that way, you don't have to worry about having a multipathing driver. You're always talking to one single namespace, and we're load balancing between all the nodes in the cluster to provide all that data. Typical virtualization workloads, Splunk, SharePoint, Exchange, SQL Server. We're Citrix ready, so XenApp, XenDesktop will natively ride on top of us. From a container standpoint, we already talked about Docker and Kubernetes, so we're fully embrace the DevOps lifecycle that a lot of customers are starting to look at. And another important thing for Nutanix is that we believe in flexibility of choice. So we've talked about the fact that we support Xen Server as a hypervisor, Hyper-V, vSphere, VMware vSphere, and then Nutanix AHV. That's our hypervisor. So we support all of these hypervisors, and we've supported them for quite a long time. And we have a very long proven track record of supporting these different hypervisors. The other thing, from a cloud standpoint, AWS, Azure, Google, and then soon to come will be Xi Cloud services. From a consumption model, you have other ways that you can consume Nutanix. You can consume Nutanix appliances. We have relationships with Dell, Lenovo, Cisco, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. IBM Power is a recent one. So we've adopted multiple hardware manufacturers, and we will continue to support and improve our hardware compatibility list to support these other manufacturers, because not everybody loves HPE or Lenovo or Dell, or maybe they just don't feel comfortable with using Nutanix appliances yet. That's why we've supported all these other manufacturers for quite some time. And once again, I appreciate everybody taking the time to jump on the WebEx and see what we hear about our new partnership with 5S. Jamie, I don't know, do we open this up for questions? That's
we do,
I can kind of throw back to you.
So I wanted to, and I appreciate the great presentation. Thank you, Mike. I know we're running short on time, but I wanted to open up any questions from our attendees. If you have a question, you can either post the question into the GoToWebinar, or just raise your hand and I can unmute you. But if you have a question, we'd love to be able to answer that for you. Any questions even after this? Obviously, you've got Mike's email right there, but you can email any one of us at 5S. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. But any questions for right now? We have a group of IT introverts.
If the world's not on fire, we don't speak very much.
This is true. Well, great, Mike. I think you did, a great overview of Nutanix. Folks, if there's anything that you want to know a little bit more about Nutanix 5S, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I'm sure Josh or Mike will be following up with you all. And I do appreciate your attendance. If there's anything that you're looking for, please reach out to us, and we'll be happy to give you an answer. Thanks so much, Mike, and thanks everybody for joining.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep, thanks. All righty, we'll talk to you soon.